Okay, I want you to picture this. A city, it's covered in snow, and there's this heavy air of suspicion everywhere you go. We're in 19th century Warsaw, and it's a place where a massive empire is actively trying to stamp out an entire culture. Now, living in this city is a young woman, brilliant, with this incredible burning ambition, an ambition that was, get this, completely illegal. So yeah, let's dive into this amazing story of what is basically intellectual rebellion. And this quote, this is from the woman herself, Maria Skłodowska. You probably know her as Marie Curie. It just sets the stage perfectly, doesn't it? We're not just talking about, not having a fair shot. We are talking about a world where speaking your own language, I mean, the very words you use to think, could literally get your family destroyed. That was the everyday reality she grew up in. All right, so to really get our hero, you've got to understand the world she was so desperate to break free from. We're talking about Warsaw, completely under the thumb of the Russian Empire. It was a city where knowledge itself, was the battlefield. And the suppression, it was just chillingly systematic. I mean, this wasn't some half-hearted suggestion. It was a full-blown campaign to just erase Polish culture. They called it Russification. The Polish language, banned in schools. Polish history, forbidden. And for any woman, anyone like Maria, the doors to the University of Warsaw were just bolted shut, period. On top of all that, every single day you lived with the threat of being arrested and exiled to the frozen wasteland of Siberia just for being Polish. So, into this world steps our protagonist, Maria Skłodowska. She was born to two teachers, so education was everything in her house. And she wasn't just a good student, she was a straight-up prodigy. She devoured books, aced every subject, and get this, she graduated high school when she was only 15 with a gold medal, the highest honor you could get. And right here, this is the central problem, isn't it? You have this brilliant mind, this burning dream to get into science and see how the world works. But the reality of her life? It was a brick wall. A woman who wanted to study science at a university in occupied Warsaw? No way. It was completely, totally impossible. Before we see how she fights back, just a quick reminder to please subscribe to our channel and turn on the notification bell. It's a huge help. And just so you know, all the information in this explainer is compiled from open sources. Thank you. Or so the empire thought. Because what do you do when the official world basically tells you that you don't matter? Well, you build a new world in the shadows. And that's exactly what Maria did. She was about to step into a secret world, a pretty radical solution to a seemingly impossible problem. It was called the Universitat Latający. In English, the Flying University. And the name itself is just so brilliant. This was a totally illegal, totally underground school that was running right under the noses of the Russian police. It wasn't a campus, with buildings and stuff. It was an idea. And make no mistake, this was so much more than just tutoring. This was a massive act of defiance. Culturally, intellectually, its whole mission was to teach all the stuff that was forbidden. Polish history, Polish literature, and to give people a real education, totally free from government propaganda. And here's the kicker. It was open to everyone, men and women, which, for the time, made it one of the most progressive schools on the planet. So, this leads to the big question, right? How in the world do you run a university with no campus? Especially when you're being hunted by the secret police. How do you, exist? Well, this is exactly how it got that name. The university literally flew from place to place. One night, a class might be in a private apartment, the next in a dusty attic or a cold basement. The locations were always changing, always moving, to stay one step ahead of the police. You'd have these small groups of students huddled together by candlelight, sharing these precious, forbidden books, and learning everything the empire was trying so desperately to erase. So let's really dive into the secret world. What did it feel like to be one of those students, risking everything, literally risking exile to Siberia just for a chance to learn? It had to be a life of constant tension, living in two different realities at once. This chart just lays it out so perfectly. It shows you the two parallel universes these students were living in. On one side, you have the official Russian-approved stuff. Learn our language, learn our version of history, absolutely no science labs, and sorry ladies, no university for you. And then on the other side, you have the Flying University's curriculum. Your own language and literature, your real history, actual science, and a shot at higher education for everybody. It was the difference between being brainwashed and actually learning. And Maria lived this double life every single day. Imagine this scene at her official school. A special bell would ring, a warning that the dreaded Russian inspector was in the building. All the girls would scramble to hide their illegal Polish books. And because Maria's Russian was perfect, they always shoved her to the front to be questioned. She talked later about how incredibly stressful it was, the humiliation of having to lie to this official's face to protect everyone. She said she'd often just collapse into tears the moment he left. So the Flying University gave her knowledge, for sure, but it did something else. It fanned the flames of her ambition. It made her want more. She knew deep down that her real future wasn't in Warsaw. Her eyes were set on the Sorbonne in Paris, and to get there, well, it was going to take a pretty incredible plan. This is where her older sister, Branya, comes into the picture. The two of them made this pact, and it is just an amazing story of sisterhood. Here was the deal. Maria would stay in Poland, work as a governess, and send all the money she earned to Branya in Paris so she could go to medical school. Then, once Branya was a doctor and earning money, she would turn around and pay for Maria to come to Paris and get her degree. It was this huge, long-term gamble, built completely on trust. And those years working as a governess? Man, they were tough. It was lonely, and she even had her heart broken. She fell in love with the son of the family she was working for, but his parents shut it down immediately. They wouldn't let him marry her. Why? Because she was poor, just a governess? It was this really painful slap in the face, a reminder of all the barriers she faced, and it just made her even more determined to make her own way in the world. But here's a really crucial piece of the puzzle. While she was still in Warsaw, saving up money, Maria found a way to get the one thing the Flying University couldn't really offer: actual, hands-on lab experience. It turns out her cousin was running another secret operation, a laboratory disguised as a museum of industry and agriculture. And it was right there, in that secret lab, that she first got her hands dirty and learned the scientific techniques that would, eventually lead her to discover two new elements. And then, finally, the day came. It's the autumn of 1891. After all those years of secret classes, of working, of saving every single penny, there she is, Maria Skłodowska, standing at the Warsaw-Vienna railway station. She's 24 years old, she's got a small suitcase and a folding stool because she's traveling fourth class. Her old life in Poland was officially over. Her journey into the history books was just beginning. Maria's personal story is just wow. But the legacy of the school that made her, that's just as powerful. Turns out, the idea of a flying university was way too strong to just fade away. I mean, just look at this. Fast forward to World War II. The Nazis are occupying Poland, and they ban education. What do the Polish people do? They revive the whole system of secret underground teaching. And then it happens again. In the late 70s, people resisting the communist government's censorship, they brought back the name Flying University for their own secret lectures. This spirit of defiance, this belief that knowledge must be free, it just kept being reborn to fight whatever tyranny it was facing. So it all leaves us with this really powerful question, doesn't it? When any power, anywhere, tries to control what people are allowed to learn and think, what does it really take to keep knowledge and curiosity alive? Well, this story tells us it takes incredible courage, it takes a community, and it takes this deep, unshakable belief that you can never, ever truly kill a great idea.